An all-time Eagles choke job ends in a brutal loss to the Buccaneers. It also causes one of the greatest players in franchise history to hang it up. It just keeps getting worse, and I have a couple final things that I need to get off my chest. What is up, everybody? RB here. Welcome into A to Z Philly. Appreciate every single one of you that have come along for the ride this season. The journey continues. I hope you are not going anywhere, as we will be breaking this team down all off season when it comes to draft and free agency and trades and every other way that they need to go to get this thing straightened out and fixed. So I appreciate everybody and hope you don't decide to depart. But if you're here today, that is for a certain reason. It's because you're feeling like I am. Shout out to everybody that was in the live show last night at 1 a.m. as we're letting it pour out. The emotion is raining down, and I woke up today thinking, okay, maybe some sleep will help. Nope. I feel the same exact blank disgust and just confusion. How did it go from where it was? Imagine the mentality of a team that is 10-1 to getting to the point where you're so embarrassed that Baker Mayfield is throwing all over you. It's absolutely unfathomable. An all-time choke job. They might even make a documentary about this one day. And, you know, how did it get to the bottom of the core? How did it go this deep? The wounds were so deep that you got gutted by the Buccaneers in Wild Card Weekend. Welcome on in. Give me your thoughts. What needs to happen today? What needs to happen? What is the one move that you want to see by the time this video gets uploaded? Before I give you my final thoughts and rants, shout out to our sponsor all year long here on A to Z Philly, BetMGM. Enjoy all your favorite sports like never before at BetMGM. Sign up with the code ATOZPA and receive up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. When you register with BetMGM, you'll get instant access to parlay selection features, live betting options, player props, and daily boost and odd specials. And with BetMGM at your fingertips, every play and every game matter more than ever. So find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Sign up today with bonus code ATOZPA and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. The only positive light from today so far is that fans are coming together and finding a way to rejoice in celebration as it relates to Jason Kelce, because according to reports, and I'm not going to believe it 100% till I hear it from his mouth, probably via his podcast this week, but according to all reports, according to Adam Schefter, Jason Kelce is finally hanging it up. And man, I almost get emotional thinking about Jason Kelce and what he has meant to my own personal life and my career as just a sports fan and covering the teams, and just, you know, the example that he has set, not only as a player, but as a person. He is the true definition of leader. He is a 7-time Pro Bowler. He's a 6-time All-Pro. He's a Super Bowl champ. He helped win the first Super Bowl in history, delivered the best speech that I've ever heard, and probably the best of all time in sports. And he has just been through all the ups and downs, the thick and thin. He decided to run it back this year. And really the only thing that really devastates me is that he had to go out the way that he did, absolutely embarrassed. He's over there crying on the sideline with Jeff Stoutland. And, you know, he comes back in, tells the media he doesn't want to talk. This guy was a 6th-round pick. He was always told he was too small. He would never be anything. He would never amount to anything. And he just frickin' put his head down and worked, man, and became one of the best to ever do it. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He will wear that jacket one day, and he is just absolutely incredible. And that's all I can say today, because I'm still hurting. But Jason Kelce, thank you for everything you have done, not only for Eagle fans, but just Philly fans, man. You are the true definition of what it is like to be nurtured in this city and grow into an absolute leader. Fletcher Cox posted this on Instagram of him, BG, and Kelce. It could be all of their last games. Now, BG said last night he wants to come back for one more farewell tour, and Fletcher Cox is up in the air. I don't know if any of them will be back. I think, honestly, the way they played yesterday, they should. Fletch, BG, Kelce, these guys went out with pride, unlike some of the others. In fact, all of the others. These guys actually came out and were making plays and put it all on the line, and they just couldn't get it done. And really, I think the way to describe all Philly fans right now is this look right here, man. This look right here. This, as I said last night, this is the look of, I came into this game thinking if we lose, okay, we can kind of run it back and figure it out and find a way to get new coordinators and new talent in here and young guys through the draft. But after getting walloped on prime time against the damn Buccaneers, you're not going up against Brady again. You're not going up against Aaron Rodgers. You're going up against Baker Mayfield. No offense to him. They earned a W. And you get absolutely kicked in the ass. This is Jeff Lurie right here stomaching that, I got to make a move. Now, I said last night that I think everybody should be fired. Maybe a lot of that was out of emotion. Some people would still agree with that. As of right now, I'm still on the train. I think you should fire everybody because the Eagles don't just lose. They have to absolutely crumble and collapse. And this reminds me so damn much of 2018, 19, into the debacle of Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson. It feels like it's almost irreparable, and it feels like there is no way to come back. It feels like you are at rock bottom, and I just can't believe it. It's not even over a year ago that you were in the damn Super Bowl, and it got to this point. That is just unbelievable. And the last 7 weeks, and nobody should have been surprised about this game. I think the fact that they got their souls ripped out again is a little bit shocking, that they didn't have any way to show some pride, especially with the leaders on this team. But Jeff Lurie's sitting here saying, wow, man, I can't believe we're at this point. And it feels a lot like the Doug Peterson, Carson Wentz thing all over again. Jalen Hurts looked like crap yesterday. Now you have to hope you can bring in new coaches that can fix him. Will Sirianni be back or not? What do you think? I mean, we'll talk about it more on future content, but right now we still haven't heard anything. I don't know who's going to be back, who's not. I'll tell you what, Brian Johnson, Sean Desai, Matt Patricia, they will not be back. A lot of the coaches on this team is going to see an overhaul because this was supposed to be the year, the one final hoorah that you run it back and you try to get back to that big game and you couldn't even get out of the first round. Matter of fact, if you didn't start 10 and F1, you wouldn't have even been in the playoffs. That's how bad you were. And, losing to Seattle, the Cardinals, the Giants, this team, the way I can put it overall without being too harsh is that they are gutless, embarrassing losers. That's what they are. I've never seen a team go out with absolutely no pride. I believe something happened behind the scenes because I just have never seen a collapse like this, especially with the talent on this team. Dallas Goedert last night ripping Jalen Hurts. AJ's had his scuffles with Jalen. There's been talks about Jalen not being, a vocal leader or whatever, but guys turned on each other last night. Everybody feels broken. This is absolutely embarrassing. The Eagles, like I said, 5 years ago, had to completely go down and rebuild and retool. And I really hope they're not at that point again, but it does feel like they are. James Bradberry, you are absolutely terrible. And I feel really bad saying that because I was probably one of the biggest James Bradberry guys last year. I thought, okay, he finally got to a situation that made sense as a number 2 corner. And he played so good. And the final play of the Super Bowl, that was controversial. And, we all stuck up for Bradberry. I've never seen a guy regress the way he has. And I go back to all these different issues. Where did it stem from? I think everything happened. I think everybody was bad, has to look in the mirror, but the dude allowed a perfect passer rating yesterday. How does that happen? I'll tell you what happened. It made absolutely no sense to go from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, as I said when it happened. Then you lose these games against Seattle and the Cardinals. These guys quit. They absolutely quit. Now, that says a lot about these players, but they didn't believe in what they were doing. And Brian Johnson should have been the one to get canned. Sean Desai was scapegoated. Nick Sirianni made absolutely no adjustments. He continued to do the same thing over and over and over again. And the defense was sitting there trying to learn Matt Patricia's defense while they're, 10-3. And they're sitting there going, well, why would you change something when we're 10-3? You don't believe in us. It's your fault. And they all just kind of sat back and quit like the losers that they appeared to be the last several weeks. And it's just unbelievable. Now, this I will not excuse. Whoever did this is just a joke. I mean, Eagle fans are here. The guy throws popcorn at Nick Sirianni. Really? What a scum. What a scum. What is wrong with you, dude? This is a game of football. It doesn't get to the point where you need to start throwing objects. This is why Philly fans get a bad rep, because of one asshole like this who wants to throw popcorn on the head coach. That's ridiculous, man. Stop it. Stop it. Don't feed into that. But speaking of Nick Sirianni, there's already betting odds coming out about who the next Eagles coach could be. And this is a very interesting carousel because it's one of the best we've seen with Mike Vrabel, Belichick, Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson, Harbaugh could come back to the NFL. There's all these guys out there, man. And, if Lurie decides this is the right time to do it, then it would be now so he can strike on one of these golden coaches that are going to be available. At the end of the day, I don't know what they need to do because I think everything is broken. But I think it started with Brian Johnson taking a Super Bowl offense from last year and bringing it into a system that is absolutely vanilla and blank, and they do nothing. And Brian Johnson is a loser too because he was here under the wing of Shane Steichen. And as I said before, he learned absolutely nothing. They could have came into this playoff game, at least tried something. If it didn't work, fine. You go home and you lift your chin up and it is what it is. But they really came into this playoff game with an extra day of rest and thought that they were going to do the same effing thing that they have done the last 6 weeks. And they ran themselves into the ground yet again. Matter of fact, they didn't run, though. They didn't run. DeAndre Swift had such a marvelous game, his best of the year in week 3. The Eagles had 175 rushing yards between their backs, and they only ran it 5 times in the first half, 2 on the first 2 plays, and got away from it. DeAndre Swift sitting there as a 1,000-yard rusher. Could have been a 1,500-yard rusher looking at him like, what the hell are you doing? Give me the ball. And they just don't run it. They don't even run with Jalen Hurts anymore. They don't do anything. They did the same thing all game long. Jalen Hurts was blitzed on almost 70% of his dropbacks last night. You saw what the Giants did, who's one of the best blitzing teams in the NFL. We said this in our preview. The Bucs were going to do the same thing. That's who Todd Bowles is. The Eagles knew. They knew Bowles was going to do this. And they did nothing to prepare for it. All game long, they're blitzing Hurts on third down. By the way, how the hell do you go 0 for 9 on third down? That is apt. I can't even believe that's true. I could put a high school team out there. They're going to convert a third down. And all game long, you got Jalen Hurts dropping back 10 steps on third down, trying to throw it down the field. What the hell is wrong with you? Look, I've never been an offensive coordinator. I'm not going to say I know as much, about all these schemes and game plans as guys who have coached in the league. But what I do know, watch it with my own 2 eyes, is that all year long I've sat up here and said 2 things. 1, why do you not utilize all the weapons in your bag? And 2, why will you not use the damn middle of the field? It makes 0 sense. They put this out on Twitter and they're calling it the Eagles playbook cover this year. This is 3rd and 2. What the F are you doing? Nobody in the middle of the field on 3rd and 2. All year long I said give it to AJ or Smitty and let them run. Even Goddard on a curl route. Why not? Why not? It makes so much sense. Or even give it to your back who's a 1,000-yard rusher. You're trying these dumb-ass routes and throwing it deep. So at one point, I'm mad at Jalen Hurts, and I hope he hasn't regressed now that he got his check. But can I blame Jalen Hurts? Because he was put in a situation to fail. And I think any quarterback out there can try to survive, but when they're in situations to fail, this is what it comes down to. This is absolutely ridiculous. They did it all night on third down. That's why they didn't convert 1 third down. Brian Johnson is a moron. And Matt Patricia's a moron, even though the guys had already quit. He didn't do anything to put them in position. He's got Josh Sweat and Reddick dropping back in coverage, and guys are running into each other, and they can't tackle. They had like 20 missed tackles. Here's a 3rd down screen. A 3rd down screen to Kenny Gainwell with no blockers. Are you kidding me? Talk about passive. They were down 7 points at the time. Nick Sirianni made some stupid decisions in this game to leave points on the board, and that was just another, apparent example of no adjustments from Nick Sirianni. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I just, at this point, I'm starting to think Shane Steichen was the mastermind. You saw what he did with Gardner Minshew. What does Nick do? What does he do? He doesn't call the plays, and apparently he doesn't put these guys in schemes or positions to succeed. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I want to go to a final quote here that came out earlier this season from Nick Sirianni on Jeff McClain's podcast. And listen to this. He said, quote, "One thing we wanted to do with our team offensively, it's not always coming up with new plays and new wrinkles and things like that. Sometimes it's just getting better. And a lot of times it's getting better at your base stuff. And how do you coach it better? How do you do it better? What are some wrinkles off of that? Not necessarily new things, but things that are wrinkles." And we should have been alarmed right there. The Eagles put nothing new into their playbook. They thought they were going to copy and paste from last season, and what they did was absolutely screw up all type of flow, and a toddler could have came in here and coached this offense better, and we sat up here and we said it all year long. What are they doing? This makes no sense. Yes, they were 10-1. I don't think you're lucky to get to 10-1, but I think a lot of those games could have gone the other way, and we saw the warning signs, and we continued to commend them. And my biggest thing about Nick Sirianni, and really the reason I think he could be and should be fired, is because in the sight of adversity, he failed, right? Nick is all rah-rah. He's been a great coach. I'm not taking away what he's done the last couple of years, but in the sight of adversity, he absolutely folded and crumbled and did nothing to adjust, tried to make a call by switching the coordinator. Maybe that was from upstairs, but at the end of the day, he had no answer, and they went out there with the same formula thinking that it was going to produce anything different, and that is a joke, and I think the players lost belief in everybody. Laurie gets blamed for this, Howie Roseman, but they're not going to go anywhere, and the players, you can't really get rid of Jalen Hurts. He's on a huge contract, so it'll start with the coordinators. It might end with the coach, which would be insane if you're firing a coach not even a year after he goes to the Super Bowl. That's just how messed up this junk is, and I feel deja vu from the whole Doug Peterson thing. I can't believe what happened to this team, and it's disgusting. It really is, and they better find a way to figure it out, because the passionate fans in this city will not live for this. They will not survive and go out and be passionate for the crap they are seeing. So they better have some answers in the next couple days. We'll see how it all plays out. I appreciate everybody. Give me all your thoughts and reactions down below. That being said, I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.